Before this video begins, I'd like to remind all my subscribers that if you order any piece of my merchandise right now, you should be able to get it in time before Christmas. Printing is every 3 days. Link in the description. But for now, let's roll that intro. What's going on, guys? I'm Stimaze, and recently a brand new episode for the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime aired on TV. Episode 101, Fire, the twin sparkling Gigavolt of friendship, which it was certainly a brilliant time watching the episode. So because of that, I've decided for today's video that I will review this latest episode, hopefully getting yourself to check out the episode too if you haven't already. And with that intro now said, let's jump right into this review. So the episode begins off where the previous episode ended off, Ash finding a destroyed Pokemon school, which upon further inspection, he finds a photo of a different class in his classroom. Which if you watched my previous discussion for this episode, you will know that this photo is meant to resemble the alternate versions of Ash and his friends. The middle character is meant to reference Ash and is even Dia, as we saw a flashback of him as a kid wearing the exact same clothes in the previous episode. The clothes are even meant to resemble the character Red, which is pretty cool as well. The furthest left character is meant to resemble Lily due to her holding a Kanto Vulpix. The girl next to her though is meant to resemble Lana due to her owning a Seal Pokemon just like Lana. The character near the middle with Dia is meant to resemble Professor Kukui, aka the teacher, which leaves the characters on the right resembling Kiawe and Mallow. Overall, regarding this reference, I find it to be pretty neat, as you can see, even in the background of these Guzzlord arc episodes, it's still telling us a story to piece together ourselves, without the actual episode stating what it is. This is also known as lore, which makes everything even more exciting. Nor did I really expect to see that happen more in the anime, but with the unexpected, surprising story of an Ultra Beast destroying an entire city, it doesn't really surprise me that the anime creators were trying to wow us even more with small details like this. Anyway, enough of that reference. Dia, once hearing Ash explain he was only at the Pokemon school yesterday, works out that Ash might come from an alternate world, and then goes on to explain the whole multiverse theory to Ash, which that was just so satisfying to hear finally be stated in the anime as a whole. As of course, we knew this was a thing in the games ever since the Delta episode in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Plus, we did wait an entire episode for Ash to learn this when most of the audience already worked out that Ash was in an alternate universe. Actually, I didn't expect all of this to be stated right at the start of the episode too, which makes the scene even more fulfilling, as it gives us more screen time later on for action. But before we get into our first piece of action, Ash and Pikachu finally get to eat, which I've never ever seen anybody be that excited over just beans. Goddamn, Ash really does love every single piece of food in the universe. During this dinner though, Ash asks why Zeraora won't be eaten with Dia and them, and Dia then goes on to explain that Zeraora actually isn't his Pokemon, but rather a Pokemon that was just following him as it wants to send Guzzlord back to its world, much like Dia wants. Which we even got to see a great flashback of the two meeting in a duel against Guzzlord. Which makes complete sense to be honest, that is how the two even grew a bond, instead of Dia just having a Zeraora since the very start of his Pokemon journey. In fact, this was foreshadowed that Dia didn't even know Zeraora in the past, seeming as it looked like his partner Pokemon was a Litten, which we have no idea what happened to it. Oh yeah, Dia also goes on to explain that Z moves no longer worked in this world ever since the Tapu Guardians fled, which I have more to say on that matter later on. Ash, upon hearing all the struggles Dia and Zeraora have been through though, decides to come up with a new strategy to try and capture Guzzlord, seeming as Dia's and Zeraora's Plasma Fist plan never works correctly. This actual plan Ash came up with was to command Pikachu to use Electro Web followed by a Thunderbolt, which Dia at first didn't really like the idea of this plan, nor want Ash to get involved in this battle. However, after Ash provokes Zeraora to do some training with him and Pikachu, Zeraora actually starts to admire the strong will of Ash and Pikachu, and Dia then eventually joins in, where they come up with the strategy to add Plasma Fist into the Electro Web and Thunderbolt combo, and also explains that there's an Ultra Wormhole they can lure Guzzlord into to send it back home. The entire training scene though, man, it was so stunning. I've never seen Pokemon attack as fastly as Zeraora in Sun and Moon yet, until obviously now, which was such eye candy. I love me some good battle choreography. After the training battle though, Ash tries to convince Dia and Zeraora that they actually make great partners, them having a strong bond without the two even realizing, which was kinda sweet to see. However, Guzzlord notices all the commotion in the distance, and this is where Ash and Dia start to prepare for their plan, by luring Guzzlord out and then using that strategy, which I'll give more of my thoughts on that chase scene later on. But for now, the strategy works successfully. However, Guzzlord still managed to prevent it from going back inside the Ultra Wormhole, and starts to engage in a high-stake battle against the two trainers, the two even almost coming to a defeat. But this is where the alternate Tapu Koko manages to stun Guzzlord, and Ash and Dia decide to use their Z moves now that Tapu Koko has returned, which results in a double, very powerful Gigavolt Havoc, which sends the Ultra Beast flying back into its world, with the Ultra Wormhole closing up. But man, that scene was very hype, not only because it was extraordinary to see two Gigavolt Havocs wrecking Ultra Beasts that done nothing but destruction to everybody, but also because Ikuze, or better known as Ash Greninja's theme, played in the background as well. Like yo, nobody expected that whatsoever. The first time we've heard it in Sun and Moon. And it was surprisingly so fitting despite Ash Greninja not being present. The hype levels going through the roof. The tune just has that strong of an effect. Whew! The episode then ends up with Dia thinking that if he battles Ash with Tapu Koko watching nearby, it could cause Ash to go back to his world. Which, that is exactly what happened. Not before Dia could praise Ash though, and before Ash could promise another battle against Dia one day. Ha! That ain't never gonna happen. Stop making promises you can't keep, Ash. And if you for some reason still believe Dia will be in the Alola League, why? He lives in an alternate universe with no way to get back to Ash, and he even stated that he is gonna be rebuilding this city. Just wants to point that out. After this though, our Tapu Koko flees. Ash goes on to explain to his friends what happened, and then he admires his Alola's current beauty, which was such a beautiful ending due to Ash not really taking in the beauty of this region until the previous episode where the professors did, and where he of course found himself stuck in a desolate land. With that story now said though, let's now move on to my overall thoughts regarding this episode. Man, this episode wasn't nothing but phenomenal. And much like I predicted in my episode 100 review, this episode was indeed 2 times more better than the previous one, amping up for storytelling, lore, character building, and action. It was all so spectacular. Before we go into each of these topics though, I just have to commend the overall plot of these episodes once again though. We've never seen anything like this before in Pokemon, and it's so pleasant to see. AKA a post-apocalyptic world with a rampaging beast who's definitely killed many people. In fact, the word kill is even stated in this episode, which death doesn't usually get stated, just suggested, which that just goes to show even more how the tone of this show went from being such a fun, friendly tone to a very serious matter for this arc. I cannot wait to see what's in store for the future too, as clearly the writers have shown us what we thought was impossible to do. I beg to differ we'll get anything more in Sun and Moon with how they have so much to go over. However, I can definitely see stories like this happening more frequently in the next series, aka Generation 8. In fact, I think this is the episode where a voice actor actually cried thanks to the music chosen for a specific moment, which just goes to show how much of a powerful impact this episode had as a whole, even ranging from music. Yo, I still can't get over hearing Ikuze. But yeah, overall, these episodes are definitely some of my favorite storytelling I've ever seen from Pokemon. In fact, I might as well come out and say it right now, it's also some of my favorite episodes in the Pokemon anime as a whole. Very superb job everybody who worked behind the scenes to make these episodes become reality. it's funny too, cause more than half of the Pokemon anime fanbase hate the Sun and Moon series, yet Sun and Moon out of every series seems to be breaking more boundaries than ever before, from multiple deaths, to referencing death, to dark as scenes, to focusing more on character development, aka not goal wise but you know personality wise, and then these stories. It's just so amazing. God, Sun and Moon, I may have hated you at first, but if you had it, I'd suck it. Oh my god, Ben. Moving away from the overall story of these episodes though, as I'll talk too much about the previous episode, which I already covered in my previous review of course, let's now start to focus more on the actual plot in this episode only. Firstly, I loved how this episode dived so deep into the multiverse theory. Like, I of course expected alternate universes to be brought up, it had to for the sake of the plot that was being made, but to go as deep to explain how paths can change by one action was so admirable to see in Pokemon. Dia was even warning Ash at one point to make sure he always chooses what he believes is the correct paths in his world, or something like Guzzlord might happen in his world as well, which just made me fanboy even more upon hearing that. As I already stated within this video too, there's lore scattered in many places. I went over the photo already, so let's talk about that Litten from episode 100. As I stated, it must have been Dia's original partner, but I'm thinking seeing as Dia only uses Zeraora to battle against Guzzlord, that this Litten unfortunately died. There cannot be another explanation, as surely if Dia wants to send Guzzlord back to its home world, he would have used all the power he could have gotten, which using more than one Pokemon, of course, equals more power. So that Litten from the last episode definitely intrigued me when watching this episode, and once again shows the excellent storytelling that the writers are going down. As for the other factors regarding lore though, I'm gonna bring up Tapu Koko. So apparently the alternate version of Tapu Koko just disappeared one day, which my theory of why that happened is so it could try and find a trainer to help Dia stop Guzzlord, hence why it somehow got in contact with our Tapu Koko and sent Ash to this world, and the reason why it only just appeared to stun Guzzlord in this episode and grant the ability to use Z moves once again. If you remember correctly too, Dia is essentially an alternate version of Ash. So Ash being the chosen one like he is in our version of Alola, of course would make Dia just as strong as Ash. So 2 Ashes would be the end of the world. Well, actually, nah, Ash always loses the leagues. But you get what I'm trying to say. You know what else I did love though? All those scenes we got of Ash and Dia becoming synced with each other because they are essentially the same person. That was just breathtaking, and you can betcha those transitions are a factor I'll be mentioning later on in this review in the animation department. Overall regarding this lore though, I'm glad the writers gave us this, so we can still piece together a story that hasn't fully been explained. And if you didn't know how to piece the overall story together, hopefully I managed to show you in this video how exactly it was meant to be. Definitely such an intriguing and entertaining story as a whole for me. If I really had to pick out one nitpick I had with this episode though, that would be for Tapu Koko somehow sending Ash between worlds. It just doesn't really make that much sense to me. Sure, Tapu Koko is a legendary Pokemon essentially, but it's never been shown before in the games that it can do stuff like that. Only Ultra Wormholes really. But to be honest, I love this episode enough to put that nitpick aside. If you have a theory or a proper reason of how Tapu Koko even managed to send Ash to another world though, then let me know in the comments down below. I love to hear. Moving on to the characters in this episode though, once again, I fell in love with Dia's and Zeraora's characters. They're just so mysterious and serious that I cannot do anything but like them. And the fact that we did learn more about the overall story too, aka seeing a flashback of how they met, was very pleasing, as I did want to see past scenes of struggles Dia and Zeraora had before Ash came to their world while trying to defeat Guzzlord. You gotta love how towards the very end of the episode too, Zeraora actually accepts a hug from Ash and Dia finally smiles. They finally accomplished something they were trying to do for many months. Such a satisfying ending to their characters. It's honestly such a shame that we might never see them ever again. What a great team. Talking about teams too, we can now finally talk about the action in this episode. Ho 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 ho, it was so thrilling. Like, not even just battles entertained me, but chasing scenes too. The entire chase scene where Ash and Dia had to overcome obstacles was so entertaining. And just seeing more of the immense power Guzzlord holds by crashing down like 10 floors to attack Ash and Dia made it even more enjoyable. Oh yeah, Guzzlord also had such a weird cry during that scene too. I wish I could show it, but I don't want to get copyrighted, but definitely it was very funny. The overall battles were remarkable in this episode too. I love the fact that even though Ash and Dia's original strategy to defeat Guzzlord worked, that Guzzlord still managed to stand back up and wreck them. That just goes to show even more the vast power that this Ultra Beast holds, and gave us an excuse to see even more pleasurable action scenes, aka mostly the Z-move scene. But you can betcha I also loved how fast each Ash and Dia battle was. Such eye candy. With that said, that concludes the story section for this review now. So, let's now move on to the animation and music aspects we got in this episode. Firstly, for the animation, it looked great throughout the whole thing. However, my particular favourite highlights have to be all the moves that were used in the episode. They struck a lot of elegance and beauty, including the double Z move. The movements in the battles were stunning as well. And finally, like I stated earlier, the transitions are a real treat in this episode, especially the alternate universe ones. As for the music aspects, 10 out of 10, enough said, cause, you know, Akuze played. Nah, just kidding, I'll go over every tune I loved. Of course, Akuze, the intense recap music at the start of the episode, alongside the mysterious, ominous music that followed afterwards, the Champion Sun and Moon music, and finally, it was heartwarming to hear a happy tune played towards the end of the episode. Very fitting. So overall, the music was godlike in this episode. With that said, that concludes all these sections for this review. So all that's left is to give a rating for this episode, which I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. As I already said earlier on, it is by far one of my favourite episodes as a whole from the Pokemon anime. So astounding. Because of that too, I of course recommend that you watch this episode if you haven't already. If you have watched this episode though, then do let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this episode though. I love to hear, as we all have different opinions. But that, everybody, now finishes off this review. So, if you enjoyed this video, then please be sure to consider leaving a like, a share, and if you're new here, a subscribe along with hitting that bell icon to stay in loop with all things Pokemon anime related. If you want to support this channel in any further way, I also have a Patreon, link in the description below. Thank you for watching, everybody. This is TIMESLOT, signing out.